kind of like dirty, dark, like brown hair, baby.
I know.
Why am I looking at
Oh, thanks for forwarding my course information. Thank you. Have this faculty.
We are at time. Good afternoon. We are live, everybody.
Over because.
All right.
I can the vibe over here.
Hello,
He's got it going on.
everyone. Happy summer to all of you. Everyone, good to see you here for our summer Senate meeting. We are at quorum at this point. Also wanted to welcome one of not so new faces, but coming back into the fold of faculty. We may not have past President Kim Monda with us, but we are joined by your president-elect, Elizabeth Imhoff. Danielle will get here. You'll also notice that Matt Mooney is here as well. So it's kind of like a history department reunion.
Wow.
So welcome everybody. Matt's here at my request as well, because we will be talking about artificial intelligence issues, which are actually brewing on the horizon. Just got a chance to be able to meet with the English faculty last week to be able to discuss some concerns surrounding this. Also in light of the fact that that the CSU has just adopted its own AI platform amid worries that they are outsourcing professional development to other corporations like Microsoft. That's just a little bit of a forewarning that says, hey, let's be careful that this does not fall away from faculty purview. All right, folks, I'm a little bit rusty when it comes to Senate protocol. It has been about a month and a half, folks, and I'm still jet lagged in London. Apparently, all the Senate responsibilities followed me over there into 12 midnight. Thank you, Cornelia, for contacting me at 12 midnight London time to keep me apprised of Senate and faculty.
And you actually answered the phone?
I did. Actually, I ended up going to the restroom in the lobby with my laptop to be able to hide from my husband that I was actually. I made
You
sure.
thought you were just in the bathroom all that time?
Yeah, I told those to the people at the concierge, please, don't come in. If I may, folks, if you have a quick look at the agenda, I would appreciate it if you could review what we have on hand for today, and if I could get a motion, please, to approve the agenda, I would appreciate it.
Somebody keeping track of.
Do we have, about our notes?
I'll take some
Are
minutes.
we-
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I just.
Double checking.
No
We
worries.
gotta keep track.
I'm on staff now, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Yeah, Kathy. Moving.
I'll second it.
Tara, second team. All right, all in favor of approving them? Yes, ma'am. Okay, any opposed?
Let's go home.
And so, any abstentions?
Do we need to make a
We
motion
have an
to
abstention.
adjourn?
Oh, that reminds me, folks, also coming back to the Senate, we have Matt Kate joining us. Service, and also Barbara Bell is joining us online via Zoom. Roosevelt Dorfhuber could not be here today, however.
Okay.
But she has elected to have Cornelia serve as her proxy.
Okay.
All right, folks, at this time, let's please turn our attention to item 3.01. Opening this up for public comment. At this time, do we have any public comments to share? Senator. Right. And any public comments on Zoom, for which we are joined by Lynette Williamson. Hope you're doing well in Hawaii. And we have Barbara Bell. All right, folks, if there is no public comment, then let's please move on to the minutes. Have a look at the minutes from our last meeting. If there are any corrections or if there's any need for further discussion, please let us know. Otherwise, if we can have a motion to approve the minutes as they are, I appreciate it.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Who seconded?
Laura.
Laura Walker. Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes so approved. All right, folks, then let's move on to the president's report. Oh, president's report, that's me. All right, everyone, just to put this on your radar, we have our Senate retreat on August 20. That's something that we also have an agenda item around to decide what our priorities are For the Senate, we do have some individuals who are joining us for the Senate who may need an orientation. It's also a good idea for us to be able to have a reorientation for our responsibilities as well. But if there are other things that we want to discuss, particularly our priorities for the next academic year, this would be a good time to do it. Also, put your thinking caps on, even though Stephanie Mendez has her own ideas about where we might be able to host this. Just know that the press box itself is unavailable to us as it's being used for swing space. So we may have to come up with some other creative alternatives. I don't want to call them poor person's alternatives, but we have to get creative with our money here. So Senate retreat ideas, let's put that on your radar to preface what we have later on in the agenda.
Are you
Also-
gonna give us the dates later too, or the
Yeah.
times, I mean?
Yes, actually, it's 9 to 2 o'clock for the retreat. The other thing I wanted to draw to your attention, your calendar invite, something went really haywire with Google.
Yeah.
I had put, yes,
It was like, wow, we
I
have a
got
lot
a
of
couple-
next semester.
I got a couple of irate emails that said, Josh, I cannot possibly meet Tuesday and Friday and Thursday. Please, what is going on? I don't know what happened, so I canceled all of your invites and I decided to go ahead and manually put them in by hand. So I will once again redo them. I apologize for flooding your email inboxes with alternate calendar invites, but I want to make sure to get that right. So I do apologize for that. Also wanted to put on your radar, one of the requests that I made of Erica and Jonas at one of our in-person, one of our one-on-one meetings. And also we'll be raising this at AC Plus is a discussion around AB 1705. If you'll recall from the last semester, it was our math and English faculty jointly who wanted to put together a resolution that dovetailed the very same resolution that we are seeing at ASCCC. And also that was highlighted by the FACCC as well. It's on the understanding that what we currently have in the way of AB 1705 is just simply not working for students, that the margin for success and the problems that they're experiencing have moved along with the students. And that our measures may have to reconsider whether or not to return choice to students to enroll in these classes. But that's also an issue because that means we have to take into consideration what that means for the schedule of classes too. If students are suddenly to decide in the middle of taking their calculus courses that a week in, oh, I really need one of these development courses to be able to succeed. What does that mean for scheduling? So that's a big discussion that they are going to have along with trying to work with IR to be able to furnish the data that we need. That would try to inform whatever decisions that we make moving forward about scheduling and also what interventions that we want to offer for AB 1705. Also, folks, for those of you who managed to attend our Board of Trustees meetings and attended public comment, and had raised your concerns about the faculty professional development coordinator, for which Justina is currently, going to be the outgoing professional development coordinator. She had submitted an updated job description that would scale that back from 12 TOUs to 9 TOUs. Originally, that was rejected and said that this had to go at 3 TOUs per semester. Just wanted to let you know that an agreement has been met, and so the position will be funded at 9 TOUs. So wanted to say thank you also to the FA for helping to negotiate that, and also to the administration for also listening to faculty concerns as well. This is a critical position as well. By law, we are required to have 3 TOUs alone allocated for flex coordination. And so this is really 2 positions in one. The work of the faculty professional development coordinator cannot be handled on 3 TOUs alone. And it makes no sense to situate it at 3 TOUs when the distance ed coordinator position was originally supposed to be nested under the professional development coordinator and is currently at 9 TOUs, pieced out of our own local funding and also out of 3 TOUs out of the grant for which Dean Beth Taylor-Schott serves as the project director. So once again, thank you to everybody. I will be sending a note to the rest of the faculty. Originally, the plan was for us to once again come to the board to be able to express our support and concerns. But I just wanted to say we are pivoting to that to say thank you for listening to us. And also Jonathan Aboud and I have been in conversation as well over the position as well. And we hope that this means we'll have partnership over this moving forward because professional development is important. Jet Black Merits, our trustee, also has expressed in the affirmative that professional development is important. Some things to also think about the position. The time now is to be able to say, as we plan what this professional development coordinator is going to try to address, that really it's now that we have to articulate what metrics do you really want us to gather for the success of this position? If the board is going to ask, where's your data to say that this is worthwhile for the investment, then that's a conversation that has to come into at the beginning, not at the end. All right, and then this Friday, we are also going, some of us are going to be meeting with some representatives from Turnitin. Lori Vasquez is here. Thank you for looping me in on that conversation. I will be on my way down to San Diego, but I will pull over to a Starbucks if it means that I can attend this meeting at 11:30. And this was largely prompted by concerns about student misuse of AI, and also some of the workload concerns that many faculty are contending with in trying to submit student work to Turnitin to find evidence of misuse of AI. That's a problem, however, if the majority of our work is now starting to focus on detection, which is why a demonstration of Turnitin Clarity might actually help us to figure out, well, how can we return students to the writing development process and also use AI as a companion? I'm really not sure. The concern that I have, however, with detection is that it's a black box. I have no idea what it's actually detecting. From a psycholinguist perspective, I could tell you from a linguistic standpoint what I think the detectors are doing by statistical observation. But can any of us actually say, this is what the detectors are actually doing? That would be a hard one. So
Are we gonna come back to that discussion during today?
yes, along with Eileen Wesks-Gamahorn as well, to be able to discuss English's concerns around Turnitin. If you'll recall, COI had made its recommendations at the Senate to fund Turnitin for a limited period of time. But ITC also has a recommendation to be able to continue funding Turnitin and maybe even look at its features as well, to see what we can do to help this along too. And remember, Barbara is also joining us as well from Zoom as well. She will be able to weigh in as well. A request from the Office of Student Life, a volunteer for the student disciplinary panel originally was Rosabeth Dorfhuber, who had volunteered to participate, but apparently because she's a part-timer, and I don't know where the language is on this one on policy, but apparently she is ineligible. It is in the AP, it has to be a full-timer. So once again, we are looking for a full-time volunteer. If any of you can make some space in your weekly workload to be able to do this, it is only supposed to convene on a very limited basis from what I am told. The default is for me to volunteer.
That's not a good.
Josh, when it meets, like if they do meet, is it like truly ad hoc or is it?
Yes, please.
Sure. So this is only in a situation where a student would appeal a suspension or expulsion. So we usually have maybe one or two a year. And so what we do is we are required to provide training to any of the faculty who are willing to sit in this role. We do the training at the beginning of the year, and then you would be called upon if the student is asking to appeal a suspension or expulsion.
I'd be happy to do it.
Great.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's right up
Yeah.
my.
You're off the hook, Josh.
You're off the hook. I'll do
Quick
it.
update.
Cool. And if it's like, we all coordinate on like when we can all, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
The only kind of caveat is
Yeah.
we have 10 days to respond to the
absolutely.
student's
Yeah,
request.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
So I can contact Chris Johnson.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll do it. No problem. That's easy.
Thank you. You're saving my marriage.
Hey,
Is that all it's gonna take?
Yeah, Marilyn, shoot.
Sorry.
Oh, you should have seen Clifton and London. He was a little furious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, folks. So, yeah, I should not have brought work. All right, folks. Follow-up regarding the Academic Senate and Faculty Association Spring 25 Joint Plenary. As you know, the faculty had submitted 4 asks to the administration and the board. We were supposed to have a follow-up discussion for that actually today at 1 o'clock. But it was Jonathan Aboud who said, please, can we reschedule this? Some of the priorities that we have include looking at the corrected adjusted budget as well. And also to look at the status of the budget and our structural deficit, and also to get clarification on the proposed consultation council that was submitted as part of the board's response in dealing with those situations where the faculty feel that we should have been consulted, what that actually looks like, how this was designed for Pasadena City College, those are details that we still need to work out. So that meeting has been rescheduled, that is tentatively rescheduled, we believe, for August 19th.
What time? We have a department chair meeting at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
And we're going to have to work those details out. We have not figured out the time for this yet.
And just one further, who would be there at the meeting? Is that an open meeting or is that just you and Jonathan and Elizabeth or who's it?
So originally, what this would be Jonathan, I believe Erica was on the invite list. They had originally asked for 2 FA,
okay.
2 academic senate, but we asked, can we have 5 FA and
Okay.
5 academic senate?
Okay, good.
And the good news is also we can consider who will be at that meeting as well as more faculty return who might be able to weigh
So this isn't really a joint plenary then?
No,
in.
no.
No, not really.
Then how it says that?
Did I put plenary?
Well, it was a
A
follow-up.
follow-up to the spring
Follow-up.
25 plenary,
Okay,
but not the plenary itself.
okay.
I can understand the wording on that one. I'll go ahead and amend that. And also to make sure that this does not get lost in the conversation, I want to call a joint meeting regarding noise disruptions on West Campus. At the last meeting, it was suggested that we needed either a modification to our existing APs or a new AP entirely. Chris Renbarger had asked if he could be a part of those conversations. He recommended that Chris Johnson also be brought into conversation as well as Annie Guthrie. So I will ask for an initial planning meeting and to see if they could either join us at the Senate retreat or at our first meeting in the fall. And lastly, folks, if you haven't gotten a chance to check out the SBCC Theater Group's page for Young Frankenstein, my plan was to go on the 19th, only to find out that all the tickets were gone. And that includes the final performances Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as
That's
well.
right.
I did try to get in touch with Pam Lester.
Yeah.
The only choice was to try to go tomorrow and see if there were any leftover seats, but
Yeah.
tomorrow is also a trustee
board.
night. So
Yeah.
Cornelia was very quick to say, you have an obligation to be there at the board. Thank you, Cornelia, but I also thought, well, if time permitted.
But
But
the
thank you.
wait list is also open still on Friday, right?
Yes, we run a wait list every
Yeah.
night and there's a good chance of getting in. You
My
can
family
start-
got in.
You can arrive there at 6:30 and get on the wait list.
So Cornelia, you may be able to try for the wait list. Me, however, I'm trying to make up for London by going to Comic-Con. But congratulations once again to the theater arts and our colleagues. Margaret
Thank you.
Prothero is also headlining as well. So please, if you have an opportunity.
Yeah.
And also, folks, the reason why I wanted
One of the
to,
villagers.
Okay.
if we wanted
I
to.
wouldn't say she's headlining, but I was like, I see her, she's killing it.
She sent me a text begging me to go, so in my mind, she's,
Killing it as a, angry village.
but also we need to highlight, this is a musical, folks. Musicals do cost more, but it also brings in people into the campus. This is a community jewel that we are talking about. And the reason why I want to highlight this, why I highlighted this at the board as well, and why I will continue to highlight this at the board, in case you do not know, despite running an efficient ship, the foundation has cut back theater arts funding $15,000. That is half of it. That is a really big hit to take. More details will be coming out as to the status of funding after an audit is completed at the foundation this September. But just wanted to keep that on your radar. Please promote this to members of the community because this is what brings people to the campus. And also it is a prime educational opportunity for our students as well. This is education at its finest expressed through the performing arts. They have to have this.
Thank you so much.
That, and you will always have, you are lucky that I am married to a former theater director and English, and now a retired English faculty member. So I've kind of been married to 2 departments on this campus. All right, folks, those are my updates for today. Thank you for indulging me. I will turn things over to our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Via Gomez.
Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that you're all enjoying your summer with family and friends and good company, and so restoring. And I'm looking forward to welcoming the entire faculty at in-service very soon, for which we have a tentative agenda here for you, just so that you can have a sneak peek. Nothing completely out of the ordinary. You have your usual suspects there to welcome you. It's hyperlinked there to the report. we are going to be able to provide a light lunch for everyone to attend, so don't worry about bringing your own lunch or making any plans to go off campus. Holly in my office is coordinating that, and so I'll put a couple budgets together from the restricted general fund to, restricted fund to make sure that we pay for lunch. Since in the past, the foundation has been very generous with us, and this year not in the position where they can do that again. So, yeah. I just want to give kudos to student services team for a wonderful training that they hosted this morning, where they shared knowledge, information, resources, and about how we can help our undocumented students. And so I will be sharing those slides with the deans and ask them to share with their teams. I think the faculty need to have access to these resources and tools because you are in the classroom with our students. And so I want to share that, make sure that it gets to you in case you wish to share that with the students. And in fact, I asked you to do so via the syllabus or other mechanisms so that we can get that help and resources to them, especially during this time. I wanted to let you know that there are 3 areas, primarily in math and sciences and also in CTE, where we have submitted 3 grant proposals to the state, hoping that we're about to hear. We're supposed to hear yesterday, and so this week should be it. One for us to expand and support the MDT program, the Marine Diving Technology. The other one is to continue our project with the Blue Economy initiative. And then the third one would be to also continue the great work that has been done out of STEM with the micro nano technologies and how that's helping our students, partnered with industry to make sure that our students are having access to those industries before they leave Santa Barbara City College. So more about that soon. Hopefully we get some of that money and be able to provide some relief to the unrestricted general fund at the same time. Let's see, very actively involved this week with finalizing the substantive report for our baccalaureate degree in health information management. I am really, really close to finalizing that report, which is an ACC-JC requirement, and about to submit that, which goes in simultaneously with the application, and then it can go in before the curriculum development piece begins. So more about that. Oh, also, we haven't yet heard from the Chancellor's office about the BS in HIM application. We are in cycle 5 and they are wrapping up cycle 4 applicants. So we should hear sometime by the hopefully mid-fall semester, one way or the other. We're keeping our fingers crossed because not only we want to support the department who wants to offer that baccalaureate degree, but also increase our enrollments in that area.
Maria, if I may ask, is the CSU still giving us some pushback on reduplication?
You know, surprisingly, only Long Beach State, is it? CSC Long Beach was the only one that had concerns, and those were addressed in our statewide meetings.
I would think so. I mean, it's mutually beneficial for our students and
Right.
their students, frankly, because
Right.
there are classes they could take with us
Right.
and fully online, and also it sounded like they wanted a partnership with us.
Yeah, my guess is that they have some friends at the local community college area there who also are offering a BS in HIM. And, you know, may have a little bit of self-interest going on, dynamics going on there, but that's okay. We've addressed the concerns, and so hopefully the state will decide in our favor and honor that opportunity for us to offer our first BS for the college. So we'll see. We're definitely going to be persistent, and we will appeal if we need to appeal, so.
If this moves forward, good news to be able to share in service.
I know,
This is exciting, it's huge.
Right, no pressure. And then just a list, a very, very short list of our active projects and academic affairs. This doesn't include all the other things also that are coming out of our respective dean divisions. But see, this is a short list of what we're going to be working on this coming semester and year. And so if you have any questions about any of those, I'm happy to address. The one highlight I'll elaborate on is that the unanticipated additional 50 FTEs that came out of an assessment that we worked on with IT, IR, and the scheduling office. There were some additional FTEs there that we were able to capture from our CCAP dual enrollment classes. And so these will be retro to 2024, fall of 2024. So this gives us some more money going into next year's budget cycle.
As a follow-up, Maria, so in terms of attendance accounting method, will anything change in terms of positive attendance accounting? Or is it just pertaining to the dual enrollment?
Yeah, no, we'll still be able to offer courses as PAHs.
Okay.
Now, mainly from non-credit though, because from the
Okay.
credit side, it won't matter anymore because we'll have one standardized method and one only. And in fact, the FTEs additional ones were able to be captured because we switched the CCAP modality or attendance method from positive attendance hour to the regular daily method. And so we were able to capture additional FTEs from that. There's a lot of work that the scheduling team had to do, but we needed to get those additional funds, especially with the shortage from cosmetology this year because of the downgrade. So we are, all that to say that we are at a total of 240 additional FTEs as a result of switching to the new attendance accounting method this year, retro to fall of 2024.
That's 240?
Yep.
Maria, was you said all the additional were 50 from non-credit?
No, they were from CCAP dual enrollment.
Oh, okay.
On the credit side. Let's see, and then just a couple of things that were on my mind as I was writing this report for you in terms of what we will continue to focus on this coming year, and then just some possible articles and publications of interest to some of you. And that's it.
Thank you so much.
Sorry it took so long.
And thank you, Dr. Villa-Gomez. Does anybody have any follow-ups for our meeting?
Just a quick question about the scheduling team reconfiguration, because Rosa retired, right?
Yes.
So what's that gonna be?
So thank you for asking about that. So right now there is a vacancy in the scheduling office and there is all three positions are identical. But in reality, not all three schedulers do the same things.
Right.
And there is no room for professional growth amongst that area. And so what I'm gonna try to do is to increase the professional development capacity, abilities to move up and learn from those that have been there for a while. And I'm hoping that it will result in a net zero cost. To do that and to incentivize, really reward folks that have been there a long time and know a lot of information and with on whom we have to rely when we bring in someone new to train. So it's a little bit of a reward incentive as well. So yeah. Good. Thank you for asking about that.
Any other follow-ups?
If there's
Once again, thank you
Thanks a
so
lot.
much.
There's some.
And next on the list, we are joined by the PSA, Fulham Arnold. Welcome, please.
Thank you, everyone. So just a couple of quick updates for you. As Maria mentioned this morning, we did do a student services training. The information covered a lot of how to support undocumented students, processes that we're currently utilizing, some new things that we are trying to implement to be a little bit more proactive in recognizing that some of our students may be detained, family members are being detained. And we're also trying to help staff and employees understand what to do if law enforcement is coming in a much more aggressive way and not necessarily a what's the right word I'm trying to use? Legal way. And so we had a very good, long, hard training this morning. It's not an easy topic. It's not an easy conversation. A lot of people are being impacted personally, and so I'm hopeful that it went well. We are planning to do a follow-up at all campus kickoff. So if people have an interest in participating in that, you're more than welcome. We're also going to be creating a Google folder to share a lot of resources. We're happy to share that with everyone. That will have a bunch of resources and information. We're also providing information about what families should be thinking about in the event that someone in their family may be separated for them. So, you know, signing paperwork for who your child should be cared for, getting bank information, getting car information, getting rent information to appropriate people. So those are all the types of resources that we're trying to provide proactively. A little bit better news, lighter note, Lightly AI is coming. We're very excited about this. This is software that several colleges have implemented, and the chancellor's office took note after lots of colleges said, we need this too, and this is a major effort to help mitigate fraud. So the chancellor's office is supporting this. They're going to be supporting it at the CCC Apply level. They are funding the majority of it. We have to pay a very small amount, but the colleges that have been using it have been very successful in mitigating fraudulent applications way at the very beginning before we even see them. So we are very excited about that. We spend a lot of time in student services working to try to determine, and I know all of you do too, which applications, which students are real, which are not. And so we're really excited about this coming on board. We are continuing to monitor changes to financial aid as a result of the Federal Budget Act, the big beautiful bill. Some of the final negotiations are still being made, but there's lots of discussion about financial aid and Pell Grants in these final negotiations. So last week, a couple weeks ago, we believed that full-time enrollment for financial aid would now mean 15 units instead of 12. That students less than half time would not get any financial aid. That apparently is being taken off the table.
Oh my God.
However, total Pell Grants are proposed to be reduced now instead. So there's also still discussion around federal work study and the federal supplemental educational opportunity grant being impacted, removed, reduced. The good thing coming out of this is that there may be some short-term Pell awards that we can give now. So students in much shorter programs, like right now, we currently can't award financial aid for students who are exclusively like in the CNA program or the esthetician program. Stuff like that could be changing with this. So we are just continuing to monitor what this is going to mean for us, for our students, until the final negotiations are completed.
When do you expect the final?
Soon, I hope. I mean, I wish I knew, Kathy.
I'm just wondering, plan for student workers who will use.
Yeah, so Jens actually just reached out this morning or earlier today and said, what's the plan for federal work study for next year? I'm gonna bring that to EC to discuss how we want to try to plan for federal work study, because as of right now, our allocation for next year is still the same as this year. Hope it stays that way.
Overnight,
Yeah.
right?
Some physical changes that are happening in the student services building, student services area, if you haven't already seen. I think everybody probably remembers, transfer center moved upstairs, career center moved over here, enrollment services moved downstairs. They have blown out walls to make it very open. We're trying to make it open and inviting for students. We've put tables out. We want to create an environment where students feel welcome to come in, so that's something that's happening. The DSPS Accommodation Testing Center upstairs is getting their office updated. Fortunately, DSPS has a lot of categorical funding that they've been able to utilize to support some of that. We will have a full Pride Center opening in the CESJ in August. So that's pretty exciting. It will change the way the CESJ looks a little bit. So we're still working and growing and figuring out how that's gonna look, but there will be a full Pride Center opening probably right around when school starts. Banner 9, coming. It is coming.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, it is coming. We've been having several meetings with admissions and records, with academic counseling, with enrollment services to figure out some of the new student interface pieces. More meetings are gonna be coming up. I think there's gonna be some conversations with FRC to look at drop rosters and that type of thing. So you all will be getting more information about that, but it is coming. It will be coming in September, as soon as first census date. Then we will be implementing Banner 9 right after that. A lot of the things are gonna be much better for students registering, much better. Some of the things are kind of staying the same, but there will definitely be some improvements, but it is coming. Couple just other quick updates, the computers in the lobby areas in front of enrollment services and upstairs between financial aid and EOPS. We are trying to maximize those computers so that students could do online or remote counseling appointments, so that students can do their orientation, so they could do class planning. So we're adding privacy screens, we're adding webcams, we're adding headphones so that students can utilize those. We can't have a lab that's not staffed, and so we're hoping to use these computers to support that need, that growing need instead. And then just another quick update, Sandra Flores, who has previously worked in international students for many years, and before that was in admissions and records, is going to be coming over to student affairs as Chris Johnson's new administrative assistant. Candy, who was his assistant, that retired. International students enrollment has been impacted pretty significantly by the federal government. And so Sandra is going to be transferring into the position, the vacant position in Chris Johnson's office, and her position in international students will not be replaced right now. So we are very excited and glad to be having Sandra coming over. She brings a wealth of knowledge and understanding, and so I think she'll be very good. So we're looking forward to that. That's it for me, unless there are any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Just about the policy that you attach, the board policy 5040. Are these changes being required by the government? Are these?
Which ones are?
You have the student records director information and privacy policy attached?
To the board agenda.
No, it was, well, I think it was just in your, it's attached to your report.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no.
Cool.
There's no report attached. Are you referring to Maria?
So BP 5040, Kathy, is the student records. So a lot of
Oh,
those
I'm
updates.
sorry, it must have been, I must have crossed over into the board agenda, but that still is your policy, right?
Yeah,
Is that government, are those government changes?
a lot of those are required updates, legal updates that we're required to do. A few of the additions we're changing to ensure that we have language that allows us to share information with the foundation. So we just updated an MOU with our foundation because they're a separate entity. We have to have clear information being provided to students about what we share with the foundation. So some of the language that we added in there clarifies and to make sure that students know what we're sharing with the foundation. And then we're also going to be adding those releases to the supplemental questions on CCC Applied, to the scholarship application, to the graduation application. So everywhere where we might be sharing information with the foundation, we're adding a question on the application. But that's what those.
Good for our students?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
We also are, sorry, Katie, we also are expanding a little bit, so FERPA is actually much more generous than what our previous directory, what we're allowed to share legally under directory information without the student's permission. So we just updated some of that language also.
Okay. Thank you. Just briefly, you alluded to this a little bit with the, SCOTUS. Do you have a sense of how international enrollment is going, or has it tanked under this administration?
So, yes. I think it would probably be best for Corolla to respond. It has definitely been impacted significantly. Not quite as significantly as we were prepared for.
Okay.
So there's a tiny, but it has still been impacted pretty significantly.
Thank you.
Any other follow-ups for VPR? Thank you so much for all the updates, everyone. All right, if I can draw your attention to informational items 6.01. These are our committee end of year reports. They are so loaded onto board docs for you to be able to review. I took the liberty of offering a few highlights here, just in case you wanted to see what our committees were up to. We also have Tara speaking on behalf of CUC because apparently she submitted a 27-page report. And we also have.
27 pages.
And we also have Lori Vasquez here as well for ITC as well to talk about the rankings for program review requests as well. If you'll recall, that was also something that we did not quite get around to last spring because they ranked right after our academic senate meeting to conclude the spring. So just a couple of quick highlights for you. The Teaching and Learning Committee, the TLC supported faculty in developing innovative and effective instructional practices. Remember, their primary mission is to try to infuse DEIA into the curriculum to carry on a lot of the professional development work that we've been doing. The big one for which we have to thank Tara after I left the distance ed coordinator position, it was Tara who took on the role of co-chair to work alongside Justina. And with this work now in the hands of our new distance ed coordinator, Matt Mooney, you'll be hearing more about online recertification processes to make sure that we keep up with quality of instruction for our online courses. Another big piece to this, part-time faculty onboarding as well. The TLC wanted to enhance what's onboarding that we have for full-timers and to say part-timers should have access to this as well. And also to address issues about student success and retention across all areas. They identified and promoted strategies aimed at improving student success and retention, both in online and in-person learning environments. On behalf of PNR, and please, Katie, if I miss anything or misrepresent anything, please feel free to chime in. On resources allocation and advocacy, the committee played a key role in evaluating and ranking 2024-25 program review equipment requests. And to secure funding for unfunded 2023 and 2024 requests. We thank you for helping us to move those forward. And also to stay in alignment with whatever safety concerns that we have under COVID health and safety.
I think the final thing that PNR, I think thanks to you all and Ken, was taking on some questions about the space usage in the wake of the Antioch arrival. And so that now has continued to be, I think, part of PNR's purview, which is just reviewing new space requests and ensuring that the class schedule is relatively accurate.
Thank you very much. Also, the committee enhanced transparency and efficiency by organizing a shared Google Drive, updating its website and recommending improvements to the reader application process, including earlier application timing and increased incentives. And on strategic planning and engagements, PNR collaborated with Dean Mike Medell, who's also joining us on Zoom, for upcoming changes to program review as well. More details will be following as PEC reconvenes. There is work that had to go on pause because of the summer and faculty's unavailability. But that work will continue in the fall. The AP committee worked on salary class transfers, worked on on AP's administrative procedures 7210, 7151, and 7160, focusing on faculty service areas. And also integration of the EIAA into faculty evaluation processes, which, if you'll recall, we had contended with earlier in the spring, and we approved those changes in March 2025. For Darren's work as chair, he submitted for the Sabbatical Leaves and Faculty Recognition Awards Committee. The committee reviewed and revised and recommended 3 sabbatical leave proposals for 2025-2026, all of which were approved. Under faculty awards and recognitions, the committee facilitated the nomination process for several statewide awards, including Exemplary Program, Hayward, and Stanback Stroud Diversity Awards, though no other nominations were advanced. They also moved forward 5 recipients who we greeted at the end of the fall for the Faculty Excellence Awards. And then, Sarah, do you have anything to share on behalf of CAC?
You have a couple days? Yeah, no, I won't cover all of what I wrote here, because you could read the report. But that is one of the real true benefits of generating these end of the year reports, is it puts all of that work into one place that's curated and accessible for everyone to see. Otherwise, we just kind of lose track of what committee is doing what and what, policies and procedures were created. So CAC is always a very busy committee, always. So a lot of folks know that we help our faculty to develop new programs and new courses and to make course modifications. And this year we did create 8 new programs and 24 new courses. And we updated 212 courses, but CSA also takes on a number of projects that are gifted to us from the Academic Senate. And so 2 of those gifts, if you will, that I'll just highlight for you all because they are continuing and I need your help to help students to get used to these new changes, is that we have rolled out that very first thing, Common Course numbering. And you'll see now there is a website called Was My Course Renumbered and Renamed. And we really need to help students there, as they're going to want to talk about English 110, and it's now called English C1000, right? So we at CAC, of course, not only help to make sure that we updated those courses to include the Common Course numbering templates, but we also work very closely with IT. We work very closely with scheduling to create all of the resources for students to get used to these changes. So you all, when you meet with students, help them, right? Because they're going to need that help. The schedule looks really wonky because it's listed in 2 different places. So help them. So we did complete phase 1 of Common Course numbering, and we are now in the process of doing phases 2A and 2B. And I put in the report so you all can see it, which departments are impacted in phase 2, because it's a lot of you. So just know that I've been reaching out, and Laura Castro's been reaching out, so it's there for you to see. The other big change that came to us is from another Assembly bill, and that's Assembly Bill 928, which was the merger of iGETSI and the CSU General Plan into what is now called CalGETSI. The students will have to get used to that as well. But it also gave us the opportunity to revise our local GE requirement pathway. And so I shared that with you all, that one of the things that we felt was severely lacking in CalGETSI was what used to be called lifelong learning. So we created applied living skills as an area, but we also reduced the number of units required for our local GE pathway in an attempt for our CTE program students to actually get that AA or AS degree and actually finish a program. It is very common in some of our CTE programs where they do not actually receive a degree at the end, if they don't feel it's worth taking the GEs to finish it. So we're hoping to incentivize that, because that obviously impacts our funding. So that is there for you all. There's so much more, but thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Darren.
you, Tara.
Much appreciated. We have also submitting a report at PSS, our Faculty Partnership for Student Success as well. If you remember, Gabe joined us towards the end of the spring to give some updates regarding NetTutor. There was exhaustive discussion around NetTutor use. The resolution that they offered, their recommendation limiting NetTutor use to the free reimbursed hours and eliminating asynchronous services starting in fall 2025. FPSS has also been busy trying to coordinate tutoring programs across the campus. We're talking the writing center, we're talking the library, we're talking the math lab, PAL, DSPS, and EOPS as well. And trying to track apportionment accordingly as well. I just wanted to highlight also some of the concerns that have been raised often about students working remotely and also in the evenings. What Gabe wanted to highlight was concerns around limited access to counseling facilities, food services, and restroom access for late night classes, and particularly impacting DSPS and multimedia students as well. We need support in the evenings. And also another recommendation from Gabe that we may want to bring back to our divisions. He recommends inviting IR once every year, at least if we're able to look at student success data, and recommends that departments highlight student success and tutoring needs in future program reviews. On ITC, and please, Lori, thanks for being here. Please, if I'm misrepresenting any of this, please feel free to chime in. Updating committee functions, ITC revised its responsibilities in the Senate bylaws to better reflect its leadership role in instructional technology planning, aligning with system-wide goals around DEIA, digital equity, and AI integration. Alignment with Vision 2030, the committee's work supports the Chancellor's Office Vision 2030, particularly its focus on equity in success, access, and support. AI tool evaluation and ethical use. I think that this dovetails the resolution that ASCCC offered as well. Endorsing the development of a framework to evaluate AI tools for education based on ethics, pedagogical value, usability, and sustainability. That one we have actually talked about at meetings in ITC and also DTC as well. And so policies that didn't quite come together without an executive director.
Good example today, I'm piloting an AI note-taking tool and I get blocked by IT, so I have to work with them to block me. So then it makes me think, okay, when students start using it, are they going to be blocked?
Yes.
So.
And then what are we forcing them into when they have to search for other AIs, maybe even expensive ones? Check out social media, folks. A lot of these AIs are being pushed towards students saying this is going to get you an instant A. Some of these come at a cost of $125 for a monthly license. This is a waste of money from what we are finding as well. Coursology doesn't seem to work. Take a snapshot of a math problem and it'll solve it for you. Apparently, they're finding it doesn't really work. But that's why we need to have an AI platform of our own, partly to control how we are adopting AI, if at all, but also to make sure that we level the playing field when it comes to students' AI use.
Which is the goal of the Chancellor's Office, is to develop that for us.
Yes. And that also solves some of the problems with student privacy issues when it comes to using one of these free AIs for which we are feeding information to who knows who. And also on Turnitin AI detection and policy implications, ITC raised important questions about the cost effectiveness and reliability of Turnitin's AI detection features. Thank you for all the resources that you've been sending me, Lori, as well. Recommending further Senate discussion on academic integrity policies, instructional guidelines, and the broader use of AI in the classroom, which I'm sure that we're going to get to as well for today's discussion item too. So thank you to all of our committee chairs for all of the work that they have done. It is a lot of work to be able to lead these committees. We know that this is a lot on your plate, but we appreciate everything that you do and to keep the Senate informed as well. If I can draw your attention to our one consent item for today, this is just picking up on business from the spring. You'll recall, we were not able to take a look at these ranked items that ITC was going to approve after the final Senate meeting for the spring. I'm going to put that up on screen for everybody to take a look at. The attachment is there available for you as well to be able to review. And I'm also going to increase the magnification here just so that you could take a look. Is there anything, Lori, that you want to highlight about any of the rank requests?
I think it's pretty straightforward. There are two things that I mentioned in the report that which we will be discussing today. I spend a lot of time costing out people's requests that they submitted because they didn't do the full workup of what the cost is, and then didn't meet with IT prior to submitting the request. So I'm going to do a lot of that work myself. We need to improve on that and have some sort of, even if it's a cost calculator built into the program review form itself, so that people can do that when they're considering their items for purchase. And then, the other part, the Turnitin discussion at Senate needs to happen. I've spent the last year and a half educating, ITC about AI and program review, as we all know, program review needs revamping, and, it's time to do that, because I can't go through another year doing what I did this last year. And then Turnitin basically, I don't know, I'll leave the discussion.
That's also one of the reasons why I wanted to leave ITC's updates for last as well, because this does tie in with one of our discussions too. Does anybody have any follow-up questions for Lori and for ITC?
Quick question, Lori, I'm sure you guys have really reviewed all these so carefully. But at one point, there was a conversation about, let's not get more Chromebooks or something, and I see there are 30 Chromebooks requested by Peter Aguilar. Is that something you guys would continue to talk about?
There's been a conversation with IT and Peter. Again, I think that was one where the request hadn't been fully filled out. And so I'm in the middle trying to negotiate between the faculty member and IT about that. I think Chromebooks for those, especially now for those students who don't have any access for technology, we're gonna have to provide something. And I believe, I don't remember Peter's write-up in my email that I received from him, that it was, it fit the criteria for what you wanted to use them for. Okay. But I think it is a larger discussion for our institution about providing access to students who don't have that capability. And students don't want to just sit in the lab anymore. They want the ability, the technology, when they can download an app and be on the go, sit in the bus, sit in their car, and it's a major shift that's happening in terms of how we use technology in general. So that's something I've also been tracking a lot, which is why I'm really trying to adhere to the Vision 2030, because clearly the Chancellor's Office has a vision for what's to come. So our conversations are centered around that.
Thank you.
Kathy?
Yeah, I mean, Lori knows my position on this. We've been discussing this for 10 years. And it was really only with COVID that we actually gave students computers and we solved this issue for a short period of time. Now we're back in the same frickin' mess that we were in before. We should be providing computers to students, to the library. We shouldn't have to be doing all these Chromebooks with carts all over campus. It's just ridiculous. And we've been trying to get somebody to pay attention and help us get this done. Somebody, I mean, Maria, we really need your help because this is awful. I have students trying to take my online class on their phone. They can't take my online class on their phone. So something needs to happen, and I don't know if it needs to be a resolution on the part of the Senate or what, but something needs to change. I'm tired of talking about this. I'm the pain in the ass person all the time on a lot of things, but particularly on the Chromebook issue, it just isn't right. So I don't know what the solution is, but we can't just keep doing this and buying Chromebooks. We have to provide Chromebooks if the students can't get Chromebooks, but it's just a waste of time and money and everything. So anyway, sorry, but something's gotta happen.
Any follow-ups with regards to Chromebooks?
I fully support Kathy and I completely agree. You can't take an accounting class on your phone. Happened to us. And they're like, why doesn't the app work on my phone? I said, the publisher purposely designed it so it won't work because life doesn't exist on just your phone.
That's right.
So I mean, I kind of already know the answer to this, but is the foundation anywhere capable of helping support and buy?
Yeah, if this is a priority and a need for our faculty or really our students, I will find a way to get it.
I think, I can say, I have students who are like, I really want to take your online class because it would work better for me and my schedule. However, I don't have a laptop, so I'll take your in-person because at least it's being offered in a classroom that has a computer and there's computer labs, but they would prefer to take the online. But I mean, that's just one complaint. So I'm like, how do we find the money to buy more Chromebooks, laptops, whatever it is? I know you have a contact at Ventura Community College District and they're doing it district-wide. And it's a pretty strong program. It's new for them. They didn't used to do this at all. We were on the cutting edge. But we gotta come up with a way to get these kids. It's like, I mean, it's like the internet being like electricity and gas. Like, you have to have a portable computer.
I'll work with Beth, and then I will also say that there is light at the end of the IT tunnel. And that's all I'll say. I know Paloma will agree with me. We have I guess we're calling him a consultant, but really we have a new interim acting dean, meaning Dean Nevins.
Sure. Yes.
And we just met him, I just met him yesterday, and I just, based on the conversation that we had with him,
Mhm.
there is light at the end of the IT tunnel, and I will leave it at that. But I thank you for bringing this to my attention today, and I'll work with my deans and especially with Beth in the library to see what we can do and what the status is on lending or renting or whatever it is that we say, check out computers to students who are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, the time now is 4 o'clock. We're trying to stay on schedule here for this consent item. Shall we have a motion to approve these rankings?
I move to approve these rankings.
Thank you.
I
Any
second.
seconds? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Do we have any?
Any votes on Zoom? Also, everybody, just a little thing I just noticed. I was wondering who Jitendra Bhakta was. That's actually Roosevelt. She's actually joined us here today, so.
Oh, she is here.
She
Okay.
is, so she's here to speak. Okay, so you don't have to serve as Roosevelt's proxy, but thank you. All right.
So do we have any update on when those funds are going, if there will be funds at all, when we might get them?
Which funds?
For the
program-
equipment.
The program review funds. So maybe you could bring that up with Erica to see when we can take this to CPC and get final approval, and maybe Chris knows if there's any program review money. This is hardly anything, 121,000. I mean, it's just a pittance compared to what we've asked for.
Agreed.
And the PNR funds are not that great either. So we need some action.
I agree. So approved, everyone. Thank you. Right, if I may draw your attention to our action items, this was carried over from the previous Senate meeting. We were hoping that you would have had an opportunity to be able to review our bylaws and any updates accordingly. This has been long in the works, everyone. And also we want to thank both Elizabeth Chisholm and also Kim Mondo for all the work that they put into this as well. With regard to our academic Senate bylaws, does anybody have any questions about any of the updates here? Part of it is also nomenclature for changes in some of the titles, like for example, EVP. So the only thing that I wanted clarification on was just one wording item here. Let me see if that was plurality. Plurality. Will elect a representative by plurality vote? Does that mean that it does not have to be an absolute majority, meaning 50% of the eligible voters? Or is that just saying bare minimum majority?
Plurality usually means you get the most, but not necessarily the majority.
Oh, right.
What do you mean you get the most but not the majority? How does that
So
work?
if you have like
If
Five people run,
candidates.
whoever gets the
candidates
most.
and like someone gets
Oh.
40% and someone gets 20 and someone
It's
gets,
40%,
yeah,
because they have the most. But it's
like
not majority.
Lincoln won with 39%
Thank the Lord.
of.
So does that really work okay, do you think in small departments? Or smaller departments? Or should you take the two highest and have a revote if you have more than two people? A stupid question, sorry.
I mean,
I'm good.
we only get one candidate.
Yeah, right. Do it.
Elizabeth, were there any things that you wanted to highlight on the bylaws for the Senate?
No, I finally got all the committee stuff and people that I had outstanding.
Thank you so much.
That was a lot of work.
It was.
Yeah.
So protocol question, are we doing a roll call vote to approve the changes?
Call for the motion.
I call for the motion.
Call for the motion, so put it on the.
I will put it on the table. I just wasn't sure if there was a roll call for this one. Forgive me, I'm a little bit rusty. All right, everyone, shall we vote to approve the changes to the Senate bylaws? Yeah, motion on the table, Tara, seconded by? Seconded by Laura. All right, folks, so let's go ahead and do the roll call. Laura Woyak,
Yes.
Sabrina Barajas.
Yes.
Christy Grant,
Yes.
Barbara Bell,
Yes.
Katie Laris,
Yes.
Dee Hawkins,
Yes.
Elizabeth Chisholm.
Yeah.
Kathy O'Connor,
Yes.
Betsy Casriel,
Yes.
Matthew Kay. Yes. Stephanie Mendes,
Yes.
Danielle Spencer,
Yes.
Rosabeth,
Yes.
and Beth Cook.
Yes.
Is there anyone that I miss? And I miss Tara. Tara.
Yes.
We have you asked.
So do you want me to make it in public?
I would appreciate that, yes, then I can repost this. Thank you. And also with regard to our other action item, this is on our documentation of leadership constituencies and full-time faculty. Does anybody have any questions on this documentation? And again, thank you to Elizabeth Chisholm for taking on all of this work to try to update this from all.
Yes, Elizabeth, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Undertaking.
I have no questions about the updates here. They look clean to me on a final review. Do we have a motion on the table to approve our documentation of leadership constituencies?
Are we changing Kim Monda to Elizabeth under steering?
This is for last year.
Last year's.
I get that, but shouldn't we have it be for this year?
Well, it's 24-25.
There,
So would that be modified to 25?
I mean, I would think if we're gonna do this, why don't we make it 25, 26 and make it current?
Yeah, this is current as of today.
Well, the idea is that this is the template, so we're going to be making constant changes after our division meetings. So
Okay,
they have this in place, and then as committee membership changes over the next month or so, then we'll update the doc, but we're all supposed to use this document.
okey dokey.
We were supposed to approve this a long time ago. It says
Yes,
reflect last
I know,
year, but
that's why I'm
yeah,
thinking, why don't we?
so.
But we don't know all the changes yet until the division.
Okay.
So we will use this for future reference as we change membership and as things shift in the fall, but referenced as 24-25. Do we have a motion on the table to approve the changes?
I said,
Danielle, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Betsy. Okay, once again, roll call. Laura Woyak,
Yes.
Sabrina Barras.
Yes.
Christy Grant,
Yes.
Barbara Bell,
Yes.
Katie Laris,
Yes.
Dee Hawkins,
Yes.
Elizabeth Chisholm.
Yeah.
Kathy O'Connor,
Yes,
Betsy Catherine,
Yes.
Matthew Kay. Yeah. Stephanie Mendes,
Yes.
Danielle Spencer,
yes.
Elizabeth Dorfhover,
Yes.
and Beth Cook.
Yes.
Okay, once again, we are unanimous. And Tara Carter, Tara.
how did she get on your list?
Yes.
Because I'm the vice president.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, I apologize, Tara, I get that right off the process. Thank you, Tara. Now we have a unanimous vote.
Only reason yours.
Tara.
Is to vote.
Yes, you are my conscience and I'm so, no, thank you, Tara. Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone. All right, if I can draw your attention to our discussion items, we're making good time here. All right, folks, if you will recall, last time, the last of our discussion items invited VP of Business Services, Chris Renbarger.
to give us what we hope will be an ongoing discussion about the budget in relation to the size and schedule of classes. I've gone ahead and put in this as a discussion item following steering. And also following up some things that came up that Stephanie Mendez brought up and continually brings up about the need for intelligent scheduling. We also, as I mentioned, may have to contend with the fallout of the resolution and recommendations regarding AB 1705. If we return student choice to whether or not they take these developmental courses, then that will also factor into the conversation about scheduling. There are also some concerns that came up with regard to our existing software. I think that Cornelia and I got a chance to be able to talk about this briefly just before her one-on-one meeting with Maria as well. For those of you who don't have the background for this, and Maria also, this was before your time, before you came here, there was a work group under SEM that was charged with interviewing vendors for the software that we have that we use for scheduling. And the goal was to try to find a software package that would help us to be able to develop a student-centered schedule. The reason why we chose CourseLeap was because it was supposed to be a rule-driven software. It was there to be able to say, okay, department, you're trying to schedule in this block, but we need you to make sure that it doesn't interfere with these other courses, because students are having to make a choice between this course this semester or another course next semester. And so there were inefficiencies that we knew were there. We still know that they're there, but this was a way to be able to automate the process by which we actually have communication across departments, so that we do not introduce so many conflicts in scheduling that students can't possibly take the courses that they need. Part of that was funded out of a Title V grant, for which Elizabeth Imhoff and I worked with the Department of Education and an external evaluator to be able to fund this. We got CourseLeap, it's still in place, we're using it, but I'm not a department chair, so I have not had to use it. So your input on whether or not this is even a feature of our scheduling software is a question, and I'm guessing no. And is that something that we also need to introduce into discussion if we're saying, we're going to continue with CourseLeap? If we want to have something that at a time of budget downturn where we need an efficient schedule, should we really reconsider scheduling software? And then there's also some of the concerns that faculty have been bringing up here and there about how things are going in the summer schedule. Some of us, for example, have raised our class caps and also increase the wait lists accordingly. And then, as protocol was agreed upon, as the start of the semester came in, then we brought the caps down on a request to scheduling to bring this back for the historical record. But that also meant that students that were newly added to the wait list couldn't be added immediately because the cap had dropped. And so they were ineligible to add in. There were some sporadic problems also with students being given an ad code to sidestep that concern. And they had to contact admissions and records to be able to find out, how can I do this? And some of them had to say, I need to drop from the wait list and then use the ad code. There were still some technical problems being able to do so. So we're trying to do our best to be able to say, we're going to do this. We need to make sure that this doesn't create any hoops for students to further get through their enrollment process. Does anybody want to share any thoughts so far about how things are going with regard to scheduling, or any ideas moving forward about what we might want to bring into conversation with Chris Renbarger moving forward?
I'll just reiterate, like, CourseLeap isn't doing what it promised. So we need to, remind them that we created a contract with them with certain features that were supposed to be available to us, and that hasn't happened. So that's bad on CourseLeap, but, we need to follow up with them. So that was one of the reasons why we picked them.
Do we know that we asked for those features?
Oh, yeah.
In this contract, do we know where this contract is at?
But that's the thing, like, they promise you the sun, the moon,
Yeah.
right? But it turns out to be all like honey and lies, right?
Surface.
So, I don't know, I sense they need a little pressure. Maybe we would have picked a different software.
And
Right now, it's not much better than what we used to do, which is by hand. We stored scheduling.
Harder
blindly.
than it used to be.
Who's communicating with CourseLeap right now?
Who's responsible for that communication? No idea.
I have not, although I still receive the invoices. They are still contacting me about billing. I'm like, sure, I have my credit card.
Because my first question would just be, what what about our needs are we communicating to them? And so I'd like to know what that conversation is, so.
I'm afraid that I have not been privy to the conversations because after we acquired CourseLead, then we had a change in leadership. And also I stopped being invited to SEN at that point, despite the fact that we made promises to the Department of Education that we would build scheduling pathways for students. So that's where I wondered where the conversation went.
It's a very timely conversation because we actually have a meeting scheduled, well, we had a meeting scheduled for today, actually, with our CourseLead trainer. And she was not able to fly in because of the issues at Santa Barbara Airport yesterday.
Yeah.
So we now rescheduled it. So I think that probably during the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be meeting with her. So I think it's very timely, and I think that all of the concerns should probably be brought to the area dean, because the deans will be part of that training session. It's an all-day training and conversation with them, where we can actually now try to massage and fix and enhance and et cetera, enable some of the features that perhaps have not been enabled yet, and then we can bring that to their attention. So in terms of the question regarding who's communicating, who's responsible, the scheduling office, which falls under my area, is responsible for communicating with the CourseLead representatives. So yeah, there is, I have some funds that I'm able to use from AB 1705 and Common Course Numbering that I'm going to dedicate to the enhancements that are needed to improve our scheduling software. So that we actually are working on that as we speak. So thank you.
Victor Bryant was also part of the team that tried to interview these vendors. He had a lot of really good questions, gave us a lot of focus as to what managers and the faculty needed as well. So he may, if he's not already brought into the conversation.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely all over that. Yeah, the scheduling team is going to be part of the training as well, along with the deans. At the same time, so yes, and so you just mentioned something that I was going to, and then to answer the promises question, as Josh said, I wasn't here, and so, but what I do know is that the sales folks make a lot of promises, and I don't know it would have been different with a different vendor. They will promise you the moon, and sometimes they deliver half moon, and other times they don't deliver, 1/3 of it. So, however, luckily we have some extra funds where we can enhance some of the features that may have been promised, so that we can actually do, the software can do what the department chairs need it to do to get the work done. And so, but what will be really helpful is if the department chairs speak to their deans about the specific things that you need, so that we can then identify whether it is a course scheduling issue, or if it's a Tableau issue, or if it's a banner issue, or if it's an IT issue. It is our job to problem solve to make sure that you have what you need to build a student-centered schedule.
I have a follow-up on one.
I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, like, individual departments schedule their classes, but we know that there are people who are unable to get their degrees, like in earth sciences, because they cannot get the calculus classes that they need. And so that both, we lose money by students not getting their degrees, and then if they transfer and somehow that doesn't work out, they have no degree at all. So whose job is it to make sure that the math department and environmental studies and whomever are all talking and coordinating? Because it seems to me like that's a really fundamental thing that is something bigger than what individual departments can do, and it does affect our budget.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that. It's news to me that we have students who have not been able to graduate because lacking
We've
of
raised
grades.
this throughout all of last year in the academic senate.
And so in fact, this summer, there was a class in CTE I think an ADC that had 8 students, but those students, 5 of which needed it to graduate this summer, and we allowed the class to run that low enroll for that same reason. So it is very important that these things be brought up to the area dean so that the deans and I can have these conversations, which is why what ended up happening with ADC, our new deans came to me and said, listen, I know this is a low enroll. 5 of those students, we surveyed the students and some of them needed to graduate. And I said, okay, we have to offer it. And so I would encourage everyone to please reach out to your departments, have those conversations with the area dean. We don't want to cancel the class where there are students there that needed that specific semester to graduate. So please bring that up to my attention. And in terms of whose job that is, well, it's my job, and I would like to encourage and will remind my deans to speak with each other about those kinds of matters.
I think Laura was first.
I was just gonna ask, can you, I really appreciate you saying what you're saying, because, and yes, we're here at Senate, but can you send an email regarding what the conversations that are happening with scheduling to like department chairs? I know people are on summer and stuff like that, but so that they pull it together because the communication is breaking down. So if you send an email, hey, department chairs, this is what's happening right now. If you have scheduling concerns or like software course leave concerns, talk to your deans or however you want to funnel it. But if it comes from you, people read it, people see it, you'll get the feedback and you can make the most of this person flying in and like getting all these, so that all of a sudden in November, this comes up at a Senate meeting and it's like, well, they were here in the summer. So like, let's maximize that. So if it comes from you, I think you'll get the
Yeah, it shouldn't be a senator's telling.
right. I mean, we can take it back
And I
too,
would
but I
never
think.
ask the senators to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that here because it's being brought up
Right.
and discussed here. But-
Absolutely.
And if that's what's needed, I'm happy to do that. The only reason why I go to the deans and say, hey, bring your questions, talk to your departments, bring the questions, is because I don't want the deans to feel circumvented.
Sure.
But I absolutely want to, I'm happy to
I would
send
say
that out.
the
Because
department
we are
chairs will see it.
collecting questions
Yes.
as we speak.
Right, absolutely. And I think department chairs, I'm just thinking about how my brain works. I have the problem in the middle of my scheduling. Do I necessarily run back and tell Michael about it? Maybe if it's a really bad problem, but otherwise, if it's one of those things that's like, it's always there. I don't know if I ever tell my dean. I'm not trying to circumvent him, but this is happening.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing to bring up is when we have our department chair meeting, make this one of the big bullets, because this, I know amongst faculty department chairs who we talk amongst ourselves, this is definitely something we talk about.
And we are developing the agenda as we speak, and so scheduling will also be there. So thank you for that idea.
Stephanie, please.
Yeah. So, Jocelyn alluded to a point that I made at the steering committee last week, thinking about scheduling, what it meant as a talking point today on the agenda. I think it's really important. I just want to say thank you for thinking about students at the graduate level and saying like, these 5 students won't graduate if they don't meet that class. That's amazing. And that's, I think, what we mean when we think about like student success and working at the individual level. But I think what's missing across the board, and if you look at the graph that VP Chris presented at the last meeting, and it brought up a lot of interesting conversation because it was talking about productivity and efficiency. And just like, I think this is like a really amazing opportunity to just start fresh since you're starting a conversation new with new leadership, you're like taking over this role as a lead on this. And so like, I think it's hard, and like I'm a department chair this year, to think about like what are the needs of my students this semester from their scheduling classes. Like I'm not going to change the time of our labs because it's conflicting with all the math times. I don't know when all the math times are. And like all my students are at various levels. Some of my students are in our classes because they need it for their mandatory physical science course, where other students are majors, and so they're on a different timeline. And so we've said before in Senate meetings that I wish there was a way for department chairs to be able to really interface with the experts on scheduling, which is our counseling faculty. They know their SCPs. They're the ones designing the SCPs for our students across various majors. And so they know like what the math demand is in the fall versus the spring, or kind of what the dance is, right? Like students switch majors, and so there's a larger picture at play than what's happening at the granular level that we see students in. And so it's really, I think, hard when departments are siloed to try to design a schedule where the students can tango with other departments, but I don't see what the other departments are doing. Or like, I remember there was one semester where we scheduled most of our face-to-face classes on Tuesday, Thursdays. But if you look at all the other courses, most of them were Monday, Wednesdays, and because my students happen to be taking English, but the other classes that they need to graduate or whatever, which I can't really speak to. But so the idea is, you know, we went to that enrollment fair a couple years back, that Vaquero Day weekend or whatever, and one of the, you know, Elizabeth reminded us of this too a couple weeks ago, is that one of the biggest glaring issues, and I've experienced this firsthand with the students that I was coaching through, is a student couldn't get into all the classes that they wanted because there was one class offered at 7 p.m. and then a Monday and a Tuesday, and they couldn't design a sustainable schedule, and so they had to just basically non-enrolling courses, enroll in courses at other schools, and that's something our counseling faculty mention all the time. So I guess all these little issues are not something that you can email your area dean about. It's more like, can we figure out a way, like other schools are doing, to put the SEPs into a software where then it really shows the cadence and the dynamics of what student populations are going through, right? Like what would be good semesters to have late start classes? Like maybe in the spring semester, not the fall semester, we need to have a lot of week 8 classes start. Because students that, you know, life happens and they drop the class in the fall or drop the class early spring, they have that lifeline to pick it up. But, you know, as a singular teacher in a department, you don't see that dance. You don't see where you can effectively offer those courses. And I know a lot of us do teach to mostly non-majors as a product of their IGETs or CalGETs or whatever fancy lingo there is out there for everyone who's not a counseling faculty. And so I just like, what can we do as a community, right? So like, right, as department chairs or as faculty members in our area, in our various areas, whether it's counseling or instruction, you know, we're part of this community that helps you build the software, and it's not like the other way around where you help us when we have this critical need. Like, I think to get to a point where I have a class of 8 students and 5 of them won't graduate unless this goes was like a failure on kind of my part as creating a holistic design for our students, right? To create, you know, at the end of their career here at SBCC, we put, like, they're in a stressful situation where they're not going to graduate if this class gets canceled. I just believe that there's a way where we can create a more robust offering, or our classes aren't more low enrolled because we're offering classes at a time that best serves the students, where we can get more students in our classes. And, you know, we hear these anecdotes all the time that our counseling faculty, and they can speak to the SEP guidelines or whatever about student tracking, but they can't get in a class this semester, they go someplace else. And that's because they can't wait for next year to take that class for various reasons. And so I just think that, like, isn't there a way for us to gather the data of our students who are tracked, right? They enroll, they have the counselors, they're meeting with them. A lot of our students are in special programs, so they're really in a high impact, high touch program. Like, how can we like access that data to really, instead of department chairs designing a schedule from scratch, have like the template and like, these are where you can put your classes. These are where the physical science gen eds need to be. And maybe, yeah, for whatever reason, that lab can't be offered in that spot, but another class that's could check the same box and transfer could fit that spot, right? And there's all, you know, like, we all know there's constraints, and that's the department chair's job, is to understand how to make that happen. But if I had a chart that said, we really need early morning classes, I haven't offered a lab at 8 a.m. in so long, like pre-COVID. But if that's the need to get, because a lot of our students are on campus Monday, Wednesday, and if we offered an 8 a.m. Wednesday class, it would fill, then that would be so much better than having these anemic labs that were scared, you know what I mean? And like, no one wants that. We want our classes to be thriving. We want them to be robust. So we understand that we're in a really different time with online instruction, late start classes. And so I just really think that, like, we're all like in this community together. We're all in the same boat, and like, there are no obstacles here. It's just like, how can we do this? Like, how can we be your partners in this? But like, having it be the Wild Wild West where department chairs are designing the schedule is not working. It's not data informed decision making, and it's clearly not serving our students.
Stephanie, if I may.
Sorry, that wasn't very long. That was way longer than I needed to be. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to let you know, those were the questions that were actually posed to the vendors for this software. Because we knew that facilitating department to department conversation was just
really hard to be able to do. Frankly, that's also why we wanted to convene the scheduling work group to be able to help facilitate those conversations. When Course Leap was presented to us, it was supposed to give us an alert that said, these are the courses that students are trying to enroll in, and these are the ones that are the most in demand. That's one of the reasons why we went with them. Again, as Maria put it, promising the moon in some ways.
Yeah.
But if this is actually a feature, if this exists, we should explore it. Because trying to have these conversations in a giant department chair meeting, it just isn't gonna work. Not unless they see this moving animal of a schedule unfolding before them. We need real-time data. And so that's what we're hoping for this one. Folks, just a reminder, priorities for the Senate retreat. It is obvious that we have a lot of concerns about scheduling. And also want to resurrect this scheduling work group to be able to facilitate those conversations with the faculty. What priorities you want to bring to this discussion? We should set aside some time on the Senate retreat. So please bring some ideas. Tara, close us out, please.
To close it out, what I want to reiterate, sort of summarize from this conversation is that the Senate, by extension, the faculty are committed in working towards a true student-centered schedule. And we need the resources to do it. And so we could say that last year was a great experience for faculty just to start learning Course Leap, but now we're ready to level up,
Yes.
right? So we're committed to it. Let's talk again with Course Leap because we do believe that it is capable of performing some of these data-driven features.
Yeah.
And again, just to acknowledge, like, we often think about scheduling as if we're operating from like a crystal ball. But it's not entirely true because we have student ed plans, so we have data. So let's, and we're just committed to working with it.
And we have data about when things close and the needs.
Yeah.
Like there's certain departments that have absolutely nothing available right now. And there's other departments that have a whole lot. Sorry. And those, when they close, we know when courses close. And if they're closing really early and they're core courses that start a sequence, we need more of them.
All right, everyone, if I may, I want to move the agenda along as well. With regard to the last discussion item on the list, if you do have recommendations, I suggest reaching out to the steering committee. Obviously, scheduling is going to be one of the priorities. Just want to make sure that we have enough time to be able to discuss the next big item that we have, and that's with regard to AI. And also, folks, I am asking for everybody's consent to be able to move that item along. You may have noticed that we have one with regard to program evaluation redesign. I have maybe 5 minutes that I can probably discuss that in because it is a very tentative item at this point. But if no one objects, I would like to be able to advance to 9.03. You might notice on the Zoom feed that we have Barbara with us and we also have Eileen as well. I got a chance to be able to meet with them to discuss some of the mounting concerns that our English faculty are facing. They teach writing in the discipline, and so you can imagine with large language models running rampant and wild, that this is creating a problem for our faculty to just keep up on just workload issues alone. But there is also other voices on campus as well that are trying to say, hey, AI is what our high school students may be using. It's also what our students will be transferring into. The CSU adopted an AI platform of their own as well. And so there are lots of voices to weigh in here. So if we can advance to item 9.03 on artificial intelligence. Again, we have our chair of English, Eileen, here. Eileen, if you're joining us from Zoom, you had a lot to share with the rest of our group. You must know, so we had Leda Tolentino, who's an emerging leader on AI as well. If you'll recall, some of you may have attended the Spring AI series that was offered twice, with about 50 faculty or more attending, as well as some administrators to find out where the faculty are with AI. Justina Buller, who is out camping at the moment, but is leading the charge on AI as well. And we also have Matt Mooney here as well, who as a voice in COI and now in the teaching and learning committee has been weighing in on AI. But I wanted to invite Eileen to offer some commentary here. Eileen, please share with us, what are your English faculty colleagues experiencing with regard to AI?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me and letting me speak about AI, both this summer and then some of our larger concerns going forward, particular to English. So 4 of the 5 faculty who taught English 110, which is going to be C1000 in the fall, and English 111 have reported that they've never seen such high AI misusage. Students are submitting discussion posts, replies, annotations, assignments, essays, uncited, and presenting it as their own work, but it is clearly AI generated. Even though we have pointed out on our syllabus what our policies are, and even if we identify work as AI generated and in violation of our policy, they continue to do it. I heard you, I came in just as you were talking about Turnitin. For us, Turnitin was not working. I understand that we paid for it, but for example, for one of my essay assignments of 27 essays, only 2, all of them came up 0% AI except for 2, which was they received an asterisk, which means under 20%. Now, I did some detection sleuthing, which cost me a lot of time, and the AI usage on those varied from about 35 to 87% identification. When I presented these reports to students, they by and large admitted that they used AI. So Turnitin for us has just created, it's not working, and it's just created an avenue to do more work. And it takes forever. And you have to copy and paste. You have to take just parts of the essay on other detection sites. The value of Turnitin is supposed to be that it's right there. But instead we're having to leave and go to another detection site and cut our essays in half and copy and paste. This has put me really behind. Now, if grades had been due today, Wednesday at 7 a.m., which would fit our typical pattern of when grades are due after the semester, I couldn't meet it. The only way I could meet that grading deadline is if that I just ignored any possible and all possible AI usage. And I'm wondering if we need to reconsider when our grades are due in light of such rampant AI misuse. I've noticed that students who have challenges right now, instead of reaching out to me or a tutor or a counselor, they tend to just be going to AI because it promises them a very quick fix, an easy solution. And unfortunately, that easy solution, when it is detected, often results in a failing grade. It results in a lack of trust with the professor. And, you know, some long-term consequences are that they might fail the course and that they're not going to learn anything. So our colleague Jody Millward has done a lot of research on this topic, and she has shown the need for a centralized approach to AI. Perhaps we need a faculty professional development coordinator or someone whose entire job is focused on AI. Maybe the person in this role would help us to develop an AI literacy course that students will be expected to take, so they can understand the harms and the benefits and expectations and proper uses of AI use. We cannot leave this up to individual faculty. It is exhausting, it's isolating, it's unproductive, and this is not equitable for students. We need a coordinated effort, and we need to also protect our students, and we need to protect ourselves from burnout. We have a lot of adjunct faculty. They can't be expected to be doing this charge. And finally, I understand that there are disciplines that may find AI very helpful. And I'm not speaking for the entire department. Surely we have some folks in English who feel that AI can be used in some stages, but for a lot of the stages for a developing writer, it really is inappropriate. And it will not help students to meet the student learning outcomes. If you're not doing the reading, if you're not doing the thinking, if you are not doing the writing, you cannot meet the student learning outcomes. And it is incumbent on us to check these papers. Cannot just let them slide. It is our job. Although I would like to just be a teacher, I don't want to be an AI investigator. And that's what I feel like I'm being asked to do. And so, I'm just looking at my notes here, which I wrote all by myself, not by AI. And I wrote this basically using the very skills that I tell my students that they need to use. We just really have to be clear that AI, at least in English, is not helping students. And it shouldn't really be a surprise because AI cannot think. It cannot analyze. And what's interesting is AI will not admit that it is wrong or doesn't know an answer. And so it will literally make things up. And students are submitting things that are literally hallucinated. And we have to stop and say, it doesn't appear on this page. That's not an exact quote. And it's hard to find the right balance when you are talking to a student, particularly in an online class. We don't want to have a really aggressive tone. And we give these matters a lot of thought. How am I going to reply to you? What am I going to do here? How am I going to score this paper? Am I going to give you a second chance? Am I going to report you to the dean? It's so much. It's not just that paper. So I would have to say, you know, that we have some 110 online improvement meetings that we conduct, and one of our most recent ones, we decided that we're having a crisis. We're at our crisis moment. And when someone tells you, I'm in a crisis and I need help, well, you expect help. We need help. We need something more than what we have, because this is not sustainable or equitable. So I really want to thank Josh for inviting me, for allowing me to come and speak to you and share what some experiences in the field of English are.
Barbara has her hands up as well. Please, Barbara, you'll also weigh in on English has been out.
Yeah, hi. Feel like the Wizard of Oz up here. This is great. I will second everything Eileen says. I experienced the same level of sort of frustration and being overwhelmed and the burnout and the morale hit last semester. And I teach all in person. I can only imagine the level of it in the online class, but it is hitting us in person as well. And looking at my notes here, the labor-intensive nature of what we're doing is through the roof. It is exponential. And what I thought about this summer, I'm sure some of you remember at the end of May, when the White House Make America Healthy Again report came out. That turned out to be substantially generated by AI with lots of mistakes and hallucinations and problems. And this one particular article in the Washington Post, that the reporters had done tremendous research to determine the problems. And when I went through paragraph after paragraph, like this, nearly half of the 522 citations in the initial version of the report included links to articles or studies, but a post-analysis of all the report's references found that at least 21 of those links were dead. I know what that's like when I am going through every single source each student on every paper is doing to make sure it's real. Or one article credited to this newspaper was cited twice, but only part of the link was shown. It listed these authors, but it didn't actually list the real author, and so wasn't even a reporter for the publication. This is what we're dealing with. And I'm talking about every single paper. I'm talking about discussion posts. I'm talking about annotations. It is brutal. It is killing us. The students aren't learning anything. And this idea that we've heard before, just teach students how to use it, is, I'm sorry, naive and does not understand what we're up against. It's not like teaching them what a comma splice is. It's a whole different level of pedagogy. Maybe we do need a standalone class, or we need to add a few more units and TLUs to our English classes, because it's not something you just weave in, especially when, as again, we've read so many articles on this, but there was one recently, I think it was over the weekend in the New York Times, the creative writing professor saying, what about if the students haven't developed the muscles yet? And we're asking them to do this work, but they haven't built those foundational skills yet. They don't know if the tone is wrong. They don't know if the word choice is wrong. They don't know if whatever little work the AI has done is appropriate, because they're still working on development and organization and diction. And it's our job. I've been doing this since 1988, and I have never felt this frustrated and desperate, quite frankly. You add this to AB 705 and COVID learning loss, and we need help, and Eileen is correct. We are at a crisis point.
I have also invited Matt Mooney as our distance ed coordinator. AI is not exclusive, obviously, to online, but because he has been a voice on AI for a long time, he was the first person to send me the articles on ChatGPT to say, I think we're doomed. But Matt, we appreciate you being here. Do you have anything to share on this when you've been listening in on this conversation, and also the one that we had a week ago on Zoom? Is there anything you'd like to share?
I mean, for one, I want to acknowledge what our colleagues are feeling. It's incredibly disheartening and frustrating. But maybe worse is that obviously, there's no easy answer. I've been, reading about this for a couple of years now. And what's interesting is whether you're going through an article, book, conference, in a class on AI like I am now, looking for answers. There's a lot about, you can become more efficient. AI can create your lecture notes, or AI can create multiple choice questions. That's nice. That's not what I'm worried about. This is what I'm worried about. Academic integrity, for lack of a better term. And no one really is addressing this in articles, in books, conferences, because I think to really address it, we have to reimagine what it is we do, and how we do it. That's a big ask. It's hard. I mean, there's things we can do to try and mitigate the short term. Problem is, this is not going away. The scary thing is not just how smart it is now, but how fast it's learning, how powerful it's evolving. So I don't have the answers. I think the least we can do is having some serious conversations about how we're going to deal with it and adjust our teaching moving forward. Because I think if you haven't felt it yet in your own courses, English is sort of like the tip of the spear. They're going to be the person that's going to spread through the rest of the disciplines. And if you happen to only teach face to face, I would say this is going to apply to you as well, unless you imagine your entire course is in four walls, face to face with paper notes. But even if you did that, then you could argue, are you preparing students for the world that they're going to be in? I don't think that's an answer either.
And here are a couple of thoughts off the top of my head. Also following up an email that Maria had sent us. Apparently there was an AI training for faculty, and there was some discussion between you and me and Rob and Matt that said, well, what if we adopted this for ourselves? And what if we made this a non-credit course, at least for faculty to be able to bring up our AI literacy as faculty? The reason why I actually like that idea, and Elizabeth, we've had conversations like about the Ally and moving professional development to the non-credit. It's because that opens it up not just to our faculty, but to everybody in the region. And frankly, also other faculty from high school and elementary school. If we're going to have a conversation about AI, part of it is also going to be, and tying in with concerns about English and what skills they are or are not coming in. This has to be a conversation that we have with all tiers of education, because we can't be the stopgap that says no AI when we have high school students who are learning how to integrate AI into their lives as well. So I see some merits in doing that. On the paper and pencil concern, there were some, it was Eileen who had suggested on scheduling priorities that maybe we should have more in-person classes, but I don't want to lose the online classes as an important medium for instruction. That's just dealing with AI based on large language models. We're not even talking about the AIs that STEM faculty have to contend with, where they are pointing and clicking with their camera to try to solve math problems and stoichiometry equations. So there is a place for in-person testing. I mean, that's a requirement for many of our online math classes
to just demonstrate that students are actually legitimately doing their math on their own. So that's a concern. There was some discussion that maybe we need to have a Senate subcommittee on AI. And to say, we need to have a conversation where we collect information from across the curriculum that says, how are your students using AI, or even more, how are you using AI, if at all? If there is going to be any kind of policy change, I'm concerned about it because if we start instituting policies that say, these are the prohibitions on AI, what about that other instructor who's saying, but I'm not using those prohibitions. I have a student who has disabilities, who's using an AI to be able to enhance their learning. Should that student be penalized in another person's class, but not in my own? Whatever conversation that we have about student conduct issues, for which frankly, we need to bring Dean Christopher Johnson in. Really, we have to be careful to articulate, your students are my students too. And so we are going to vary in terms of how we're going to approach AI.
It was a super quick question, and it seems rather banal in the face of the, global apocalypse you're describing, but I'm just wondering about the 41,000 plus that we've approved for English for Turnitin, since you were just saying, Eileen, that a lot of English don't like the Turnitin software. Should that still be in the ranking?
Well, I think we also have to acknowledge that we're meeting with Turnitin on Friday.
Okay, so that item might go away.
Well, yeah, that recommendation was until Senate actually got the conversation. So it was a way to say, we're not making this decision as ITC because we're recommending the Senate continue the conversation, but at the same time, in light of Eileen and Barbara's concern, we need to bring it and turn it in to make sure that it is not working, or maybe there's something we're not aware of, like any software program.
But it is currently on the list, just as a reminder.
We'll see what the outcome of this demonstration of Turnitin clarity will be. I've always wondered, what are the criteria that these detectors are using to make a determination as to whether or not this was AI generated? I mean, what we're all hoping for is that there's some kind of digital footprint that says this was AI generated. When in fact, if it's a large language model, then it's basically saying word frequency analysis. How often do these words appear in the English vernacular? And it's making a determination based on what we typically use. Unfortunately, that's also going to shift because of the fact that these AIs are plugged into the internet, and the internet is only as good as what we feed it, controversial posts and all. The internet is getting dumber. And so the AIs, the argument is, are getting dumber. So ultimately, this may actually implode and not even be a concern for us moving forward.
Sorry, but all of the tools that we have now on campus have AI built into them. Right. Some tools are not being enabled because IT is waiting for a policy.
Yes. So
when we know that Turnitin is on the roadmap to add AI into campus, that's another part of the conversation.
Danielle, please.
There was a study that was recently released by MIT. It hadn't been peer reviewed yet, but
MEG study.
they were using ChatGPT, and it was like 18 to 39-year-olds, and they broke them into 3 groups, and they wrote essays. And like one group was old school, like only books, and the middle group did Google, and then the third group used ChatGPT, and then they did, I think it was like EEGs of their brain.
Yes.
And the ChatGPT people had much lower brain activity, and it got worse over time. And
Trade-off though.
no, but my point is,
Okay, please.
I feel like we need to have conversations with our students. So I talk to my students about AI and I say, A, you're better off doing your own work. Like that's really what an education is. I point out the amount of power that it uses, the amount of water that it uses from an environmental standpoint. It's just setting the planet on fire. And now we have evidence that it's actually like damaging your brain. And so offering that as like, that's the information they should be using if they're gonna make these choices. And then I try to design, I mean, I've had students say it was more work to try to use ChatGPT in your class than to just do your class. And so you know, but English or history is a little bit easier than English, where like we have a certain content we have to get through. But I feel like students should be informed about the impact of this. And I worry that the reason this is being pushed on us so heavily is because these companies have spent a lot of money developing these tools that don't actually do much and don't do it well. And now they're trying to force everybody to use it. Like apparently a lot of grants started requiring researchers to incorporate an AI piece into it to get funded. So I'm gonna be a Luddite and like really push back on AI. I think we should not just throw up our hands. And I think the more we can educate our students on the downsides of it, at least they can make some kind of informed choice. And I don't plan on incorporating I'm not gonna have my students use ChatGPT to do whatever as part of an assignment.
You know, in thinking, I also have a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old son. And we talk about this a lot, particularly the 24-year-old's an artist. And he just mourns the loss of authentic voices and authentic art, whether it's in writing or visual art or music. So we talk a lot about this, and I think there's kind of maybe some aspects of this generation that we could speak to, which is authenticity, right? When your photos are supposed to be the same, you're supposed to look like everybody else, it's all, and I feel like if we could, especially like in English classes, I'm really thinking about when I teach writing. Actually, one of the first essays we do is the beauty of making errors in English as you're learning English. And we just talk so much about, I want to see your English. I want to hear your voice. I want to see your authentic. I have no interest in that. I'm not even going to look at something that a computer produced because I want to know you. I want to know your voice. I want to know your language. So I think there's that authentic side. And then the other side is that the whole point of higher education is critical thinking.
Right.
So if somehow, from the get-go, we could at least win over some of the students to think, to take the macro perspective on all this social media, on the AI, all of that, and say, what is this doing to us? And like my one son is now, it's only been like 6 months, but he's off Instagram. He's like, it's so bad. And he's getting close to being off Netflix, the same thing. So this helping them reflect, because really what we want is to give these students tools for the future, right? And they need to, I just think we need to help them think critically about where all of this is headed and start to make their own choices, even though we're also kind of fighting the companies that are trying to push this stuff and trying to grab eyes and keep eyes, but to help all of us be more aware of it. So I just feel like if we're gonna make a policy, I think that the deeper part of all this is what needs to be included.
If I may have an ask of all of you, one of the conversation pieces that came out of that Zoom meeting was we need to readdress what our students' academic integrity policies say. I decided to include a copy of AP 5550 for you to take a look at going into the Senate retreat. And it was there just to be able to draw together some of the things that I pulled from all the documentation that Jody Millward had provided. I didn't intend to go over all of that today, but I would suggest that you take a look at it to see what other campuses have been doing. I've tried to synthesize that and tried to say, let's append this to AP 550 and see, does this fit? And I think that the principals are flexible enough to be able to say, this is the lowest common denominator for what we can agree on. This is just unacceptable when it comes to student use, but also encourages the process by which we say, the detectors are not the only criteria we can use. We have to initiate a conversation. And also to revisit that question about the syllabus language that we recommended. There was a comment that said, it doesn't exist in an AP, so we're not bound to it.
But there are lots of things in student disciplinary action for which we can say, it is incumbent on the dean to try to determine, was your policy clear for the students? And to say, you set a standard about how AIs can be used. Is that a place where that can live? So let's think about that for the summer retreat. The other thing that I also wanted to also mention, Dave Morris took an interest in what this agenda item was for the Senate. The board wanted to know more about what we are doing about AI. I will continue to have this at the center of my academic Senate president's reports so that we can keep them informed as to what we are doing. If I may borrow just a couple more minutes, just a very brief thing to put on your radar, folks. I just want to make sure that I give context to this discussion item. This is 9.02. Again, this is very tentative. Just want to make sure to respect that Michael Modell is here. He's been working with all of us, really leading the charge on the program evaluation redo. And Kathy O'Connor has also been in on that conversation. Kim has been leading the charge. Elizabeth Imhoff, we are asking to also take part in this as well. Just to give you just a very brief summary with regard to the program evaluation process. What has motivated some of the changes is that when it comes to program review, PEC simply does not have the capacity to be able to review every last program review that comes across their desk. Which is why there is at least some tentative discussion, pending what happens in the fall, about possibly moving the review of all of these comprehensive program reviews into a committee all of its own. But that also brought some questions up with regard to AP 3255, for which program evaluation, program modification, and program cancellation are all tied in together. So there are concerns about that amid any possibility about discontinuation of programs, that faculty stay in the center of that conversation. The reason why we also want to bring this to your attention, and Cornelia can speak to this, you have Cornelia to thank for her eagle eye, sharply looking at this on the board agenda. Please look to item 11.02, for which there is a very brief item being sunshined about a discussion of program discontinuation being moved into negotiation. The ASCCC has language specifically that cites this has to rest with the academic senate, not with negotiation. So please, again, I don't know what this is. It's put under a new article that has been suggested on the handout with no other details to it. All of this is very tentative. So please bear that in mind when you see this on screen. Had a conversation with Kim and also with Elizabeth about this, just to be able to preface this. The work is not done on this, but you do have to keep an eye on AP 3255. That's us, folks. We got to make sure that we stay in those conversations. Everyone, it's been wonderful to see you. I'm hoping that you've been having a wonderful summer as well. To our new members, congratulations, welcome. You know the drill, folks. Donuts, please make sure to have those before you go. Everyone, thank you very much. I will see you at the Academic Senate retreat. You know the drill, folks. Closing time.
I know where it is.
You don't have to stay, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We'll see you later, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
About every night talk to me about it. You said you better. Real, it would be really good to have an English person. So concerned about.
And Jennifer, who has led RW depository reading. Would be an ideal, but I agree. That you could recommend. Be able to. Is this a we can. Actually, a free copy. Okay, I'll get it.
That's an idea, yeah.
Do you want me to,
But that's
Harper and ask her?
Yes.
Yes.
August 3. We have a window from 9 to 2.
How funny that? It does a lot. It's really fun, but she's not getting hours. For sure. Let's go have fun.
What I mean,
Trying to figure all that out. Because they
but it just.
They offered her the job.
AI did. It doesn't work. That's basically what we heard at the state. That why bother spending that money?
Anymore.
Yeah.
And he's. I did with the institution, and they use it.
Right.
They're setting ourselves up for a complicated even to bill for the work. That also makes sense. Does address how AI is on the work.
And they can't change the date Granger do because that's a admissions office thing. So they're gonna have to change how they do their assignment. I think there's gotta be some creative way to manage.
Got my email.
Yes, Mike.
Electronic part.
Okay.
Try to get her on the.
What am I gonna do? Ask her who.
Possible recommendation that is available.
Yeah,
Thank you, Kathy.
like a meeting. I just.
I don't think it's taking a stand.
I'm telling you, great presentation on this, on the whole integrity issue. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that are way ahead of us.
I keep worrying that we have time on this one. I mean, before I became active.
Do you think it's a good idea? And you go student. Okay. And there's a lot. So we don't mind.
I should evolve beyond them. Maybe evolve.
I can do the part.
They're due.
I can everything everybody
Apology part.
it's online or have those conversations.
Yeah, I could do that.
Develop little orientation that we can put in our classes.
I can do that on.
Actually about AI. Student.
All right, so we can
Actually,
make a day.
it's like 100.
I have that. So what day on your syllabus?
AI training.
I'll make. I'll just want to look and try to find a date or do you want me to suggest one too?
AI
I
training.
really don't care. I don't care. Here's a trend. I wait a little bit.
Submit this question.
Provided that training.
Yeah.
But we need to have somebody do that for all of us.
Everybody.
Yes, so that at least,
Okay.
and we can't all be reinventing this. We don't have much time.
We gotta accept that there are going to be people who are going to come into this at all levels of adoption, even if it means no adoption at this point.
Yeah, which is fine, but if I want to put something in my orientation week
Have like
on AI and how, why there's issues with it, what are the long term, what are the brain issues? I mean,
You're on this side.
and I would have a quiz based on that video. For extra credit, it would get points, but we can all do this ourselves. It's too much.
It's just too much. And really what we need is an archive on the Senate homepage that says, here are some examples of faculty
A lot of
orientation
people don't realize.
or what their syllabus is or what their assignments. And outside of English, then we need to change.
Well, the Senate paper, the Senate, academic Senate has two living goals of all the levels, like the FRC, much the same.
People have to go
Obviously,
through archives themselves
Yeah.
that they need to
Right.
addressing. States of the day.
But I would sure love to have a little orientation for my students, because they're gonna use it. I don't know if it's
For your time or not.
and they're
That long.
To set the expectation.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is professional faculty and for students. Frankly, we need a comprehensive strategy for students, period.
It's too.
Ah, so the.
Any,
Okay.
or they never get revenue.
Yeah.
All right then.
Like wondering if we could,
My favorite class.
mandatory.
Okay, cool.
This was.
It would be interesting to just have it on the dashboard and say you must take this before you enter any of your course dashboard.
And it occurred to me that I'm wondering if you would like to from the Senate.
25 project was.
That would be.
Because I think maybe to know, it's a very hot topic.
Last year.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what-
That I didn't
I
even.
don't think they ever said. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm flying blind here.
A lot of the senators are-
1.5 million increase.
Can't really have.
Concerns that they don't deal with themselves.
100,000 increase, basically the same. And now it's that updated jobs.
And I can.
A little bit of reduction.
Oh, are you, sorry,
You should ask me that it's department chair. So basically, maybe chairs outside of the Senate.
Well, the meeting might happen before that.
Oh,
The faculty salary.
right, so. Seriously, like, I know I've asked for things in the schedule. That is going down, I always said that, so it's everything else.
I think searches do so. It may or may not.
$2.3 million is the actual program.
Scheduling software itself, where
Oh,
we get that recall. For example,